Now time for our keynote speaker. Described by the evening news as communicator par excellence, he is known in the corporate world of India as a trainer's trainer, a master trainer. Born in 1940 and brought up in the middle class Hindu family of Ahmedabad, he aspired to be a teacher and launched his teaching career at the age of 17. Since then, he has lectured at numerous colleges, universities, institutions and organizations in India and USA. Left for America in 1964 on a fellowship, immigrated to Canada in 1969, and then came back to India to do seminars on the invitation of Indo-American Society. In 1981, he left his post as faculty humanities, John Abbott College, Montreal, Canada, closed his management consultancy firm in Canada, and became an Indian resident and settled in Mumbai. Now he spends his time developing the most priceless asset India has, its human resources. Since 1973, he's trained over 100,000 people in assertive management, stress management, negotiation, team building, leadership, some 100 multinationals and national companies in India. What makes him unique is his approach to HRD and management education. He strongly believes that American or Japanese concepts of management cannot be imposed on Indian management, and that management education must be steeped in Indian ethos. His 20 years studies in Sanskrit literature, Indian religions, Indian classical music have helped him design management courses with holistic perspective that blends the Western and the Eastern thought. It suggests ways to maintain work-life balance. His seminars and workshops motivate executives to realize their full potential, and that's what we've requested him to come here for, to work with our potential. For Blue Ribbon, he's an advisor and a mentor. His thoughts have been instrumental in shaping our own direction as well. So please welcome our keynote speaker for the day, Professor Rooshikumar Pandya.
Ladies and gentlemen, Namaste, Assalamu Alaikum. Good evening. Very happy to be here. I thank the Blue Ribbon Movement and Peace Child International, and of course IIM Bangalore for bringing me up. I have an old collection with IIM Bangalore. The first director, Professor Ramaswamy, attended my course in the 70s. And I remember it because he made a special request. He said, Professor, I want to attend 2 days course by you, but one request, I have a bad back, so I need 2 pillows if I were to sit there for 2 days. My topic that I had given was the secret of for being successful. If you don't believe me, you just saw the performance, what is possible. And that's what I'm going to talk about, the potential. I've been fortunate to have been associated with many successful people all my life. Success has always fascinated me. I've met successful people, I've studied under many of them. When I talk about success, I'm talking about international standards in different fields, finance, music, philosophy, religion. I've taught some of them, I've learned from many of them, I've traveled, drunk and eaten with most of them. And what I've learned from them and I've shared with them, I want to share with you, with one single purpose in mind, that to tell you that each one of you has a phenomenal potential. It would be a waste if you don't exploit it. And the secret of success is there is no secret. Because since Patanjali was a man who wrote Yoga Sutra, which is a manual of achieving communion with the higher power, if you will. Which is about 191 sutras, which are aphorism. And he talked about how to achieve oneness with the up there. And that is the same for achieving success in any field. And I'm going to give you an example from cross-culture and the different activities across the entire spectrum of human activities to prove my point. But before that, as I said, I want to tell you, and I have no doubt in my mind that each one of you has a phenomenal potential. And I learned that when I was a kid and a student of Sanskrit. So let me go to Sanskrit sloka for you, because most of you hardly heard Sanskrit in your lifetime. So here is your chance. Amantram aksharo nasti. There is not a single letter of an alphabet out of which you cannot make a mantra. Mantra is a sort of a particular syllable or a sequence or an aphorism out of which by reciting that you achieve certain powers. So, Amantram aksharo nasti, there is not a single letter of an alphabet out of which you cannot make a mantra. Nasti mulam aushadam. Nasti mulam aushadam. There is not a single root of a tree out of which you cannot make medicine. So there is not a single letter of an alphabet out of which you cannot make a mantra. There is not a single root of a tree out of which you cannot make medicine. Ayogya Purushonas. There is not a single person who is incapable. It's the third line. And the most important part is Yojakas Tatra Durlabha. But one who brings out mantra from a letter of an alphabet, one who brings out medicine from a root of a tree, and one who brings out best from people, those people are rare. The performance you saw, for example, just think about it. Somebody taught them to do it. So there was a mentor, or we call in India, guru. And that person knew precisely how to bring out the best from these people. Most people have given up on it. Is that right or not? These people are handicapped, there's nothing we can do with them. And somebody thought that no, we can do a fantastic thing with them, and they worked with them day in and day out, over weeks, over months, over years to bring out this. And what you saw is a proof that what could be achieved. And if they can achieve this with that thing, imagine what you can achieve. But the point is there are certain things you can do, because what you are here today, therefore the very fact that you are here, you are chosen people, you have selected few, you have certain initiatives, certain drive, certain leadership quality, and that's what brings you here. But all these things need to be nurtured. If you don't nurture it, 30 years from now, if you are the same, there is no value. Would you agree? Yes, no? Yes. A little louder so I can hear. Yes. Okay. So now, what is required? And as I said, it does not change. The requirement does not change. First thing you require is a vision. What you want to be 15 years from now, 20 years from now, what would you like to see? There's a quote attributed to Swami Vivekananda, who was one of the greatest saints this country produced, as well as Helen Keller. And the question was asked, what is worse than not having an eyesight? And the answer was not having a vision. So you've got to have a clear vision as to what you see from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, what you want to create, where you see yourself. Once you have decided that, then you need a clarity of where you want to reach. Forget the how-to part. Let me share a dialogue with you which probably occurred in White House when John F. Kennedy became the President of the United States. He had a meeting with NASA scientists, and he asked them, American government gives you millions of dollars, what do you do with it? So NASA scientists looked at each other and said, what kind of question is this? So one of them gathered up enough courage and said, Mr. President, we do research with that money. We do space research. So Kennedy asked him, how do you do space research? He again looked at each other and said, this Harvard guy is the wrong guy for this, asking these stupid questions. So one of them again gathered up enough courage and said, Mr. President, we do space research by sending spaceship in the space. Mr. Kennedy would not give up. He says, where do you send these spaceships? In the space. And this scientist thought this guy is a bonkers. How did we put him in the White House? So they looked at each other, and one guy again gathered up enough courage and said, Mr. President, there is no where in space, it's all space. Kennedy will not give up. He said, why don't you aim those spaceships at something? He said, aim that, Mr. President, like at what? Well, for a start, aim them at the moon. And as you know, the rest is history. So aim them at the moon. So they decided where you want to reach. And if you want to achieve something, you've got to see what the aim is. Journey is very exciting, as Professor Saab said. You've got to enjoy the journey. But again, you've got to know where you want to reach. It may not be as exciting, believe me, once you get there, you say, is that what I want for? Sometimes halfway through you realize that this is not what I wanted, which is okay. You can change it. Because sometimes you pursue wrong goals. Today you are here in a peace conference, tomorrow you think your peace is for fun. I want to do something else. Absolutely acceptable. Nothing wrong with it. It's your life. Because if you want to achieve something, you've got to be passionate about it. If the passion and love is missing, you will not achieve it. Be mediocre performer. Believe me. When I was born and brought up in Ahmedabad in Gujarat, which is a very money-oriented commercial place in this country, my father asked me, what do you want to be? At that time, middle-class kid in a family in Ahmedabad had two choices. Either you become a doctor or an engineer. So my father asked me, what do you want to be? My sister was a doctor, my brother was an engineer. I was the youngest of 5. And I told my father, I want to be a teacher. He looks at me and says, it's a noble profession. Leave it for noble people. So, in SSC exam, in high school graduation time, I did not appear for mathematics. When the results came, I got 0 out of 100. He expected 100 out of 100. He said, why not? I said, now I cannot go into science. My doors are locked. He said, do whatever the hell you want to do. So I started teaching at the age of 17 for 25 rupees a month. That is 50 cents. For 1 month. That was my salary. I enjoyed every minute of it. I'm still doing it. I'm 72. I'm doing it because I love it. Otherwise, at this age, most people are there with pipes attached to every opening in their body in a hospital. In India. The point is, I love it, therefore I don't get tired, and I spend my entire life with your age group people teaching and working with them. For me, it's a passion. So, as I said, halfway through, if you realize you're in the wrong profession, quit. I share with you an example. There's a doctor in Tamil Nadu, in Chennai. This is a public knowledge, so I'll give his name. Sadashivan is his name. Dr. Sadashivan attended my course years back. One day, about 20 years back, he came to me and said, Sir, I don't like being a doctor. I said, what would you like to be? He said, I want to be a businessman. I said, why did you become a doctor? My father told me. I said, so change it. I need to ask my father. I said, ask him. He's dead, sir. I said, what do you want me to do? Sir, I think you as my father. If you give me permission, I do business. I said, I give you permission. Next day, he closed his clinic, started business. 3 years later, he came, very happy, comes to me and says, I'm very happy, sir, doing business. Very good. I said, what are you doing? You wouldn't believe what this doctor started. Groundnut oil business. Do you think the medical doctor will start something high-end or something? And he was very happy, very successful. I'm making a lot of money, I'm making a lot of people happy, I got a lot of people employed by me. I'm running a lot of families and their livelihood, and I'm very excited. Do you have any other advice for me, sir? I said, yes, I do. I said, Doc, now you're happy being a businessman? Seri, sir. I said, you're a doctor, right? Sir. I said, why don't you do free service to people who cannot afford it? Good idea, sir. He opened the clinic at night again. And now he was not doing it for money making, he was doing it for charity. He became a very popular doctor, besides being a successful businessman. So halfway through, if you realize you are doing in the wrong profession, just think about it. Just because you spend 30 or out of 35 years of working life, if you spend 10 years in the wrong profession, is there a good reason to spend 25 more? Is it? It's not. So why waste other 25 years of life? Change it. Do something that excites you. That's very, very important, that you have to be passionate about what you do. And I tell you something. A research was done in America about 250 people who made $1 million by the time they were 30 years old. And I'm talking about research done about 30 years ago. At that time, $1 million right now will be about 50 million or something. If I was a KPMG, I'll come out with some injection stuff like that. So, the common phrase among these people, 250 odd people who made $1 million by the time they were 30. See, at 65 you make because of pension and this fund and that fund. That's what we're talking about. Common in characteristics among all these people. One, none of them wanted to make money. So when I talk of success, I'm not talking about making money. I'm talking about pursuing what you are excited about. Even if it's an NGO, even if it's a peace movement, even if something doing something good for some people in a village. The point is, none of these people wanted to make money. That was one comment. Second, all of them loved what they were doing and they were passionate about what they were doing. Three, and this is very interesting, they came close to dying, which changed their entire value system. And if you think about it, if you read the book Good to Great by Jim Collins, there's a one about that tissue paper company. The one who became the director, who was the director of the company, on the board and started accounted by, I believe, by profession. And the board decided you're going to be the MD of the company. He went to the doctor for medical exam. Doctor told him that you are going to die of cancer in maybe 1 year or so. He came to the board and said, this is what the doctor told me, I'm not going to die, I'm going to turn this company around. And for 20 years he ran that company and made it extremely successful. You know which one I'm talking about? Huh?
Kimberly Clark. Kimberly Clark.
Which one?
Kimberly Clark.
Kimberly Clark, right. So the point is, you remember that? So the point is, he came, you heard of the Star Wars films? Who made it? George Lucas. He came close to dying in a fire. He also came close to dying in a fire. Pandit Ravi Shankar, you heard of? Great sitar player. Wanted to commit suicide. You know that? I've known him since 1956. I've traveled with him. I played Tanpura with him. And he was so depressed at one time in Mumbai, he wanted to commit suicide. The Guru came and said, don't do it, beta. You will be okay. So point I'm saying that it's not a prerequisite, by the way, to become successful. Just in case you're wondering, oh my God, I could. But I'm saying that it happens to be one of the common characteristics that they found among people. Then what you have, so you got to have, as I said, one is a vision, secondly a clear aim, thirdly perseverance. That's one of the most important things, perseverance and discipline. You got to do it for day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. When you see Pandit Ravi Shankar at the age of 90 performing under arch light, playing sitar, you say, wow, man, at 90 guy plays fantastic. But you don't. Is in a village in Madhya Pradesh called Maihar for 7 years in 47 degrees, 14 hours a day. 7 years old. And one day his Ustad Alauddin Khan Sahib, who taught him, mentor, who was his guru, he told him particular technique in sitar playing called Kirtan he could not perform. He said, you wear dangles, you cannot play, you know, takat in your, you know, strength in your wrist. And he got very upset. So he ran away. And he went to the train station. So Alauddin Khan Sahib's son, Ustad Ali Akbar Khan Sahib, who was the first, only Indian musician so far to get the Heritage Award in America as a genius musician. He just died 2 years ago. I spent 5 years learning from him. And this Ustad Ali Akbar Khan Sahib went after him. They both were learning under Ali Akbar Khan's father. And he went to me and said, Ravi Shankar, where are you going? He said, your father told me that I should wear bangles. And I feel hurt. He said, come on, that's what he told you. He ties me to a tree, beats me up. What are you complaining about? Come back. He brought him back. 14 hours a day, 7 years. So perseverance. Think about it. The man who gave us light, who was it? Huh? Edison. He is reported to have failed 2,000 times. So one journalist told him, he said, you failed 2,000 times. He said, who told you that? He said, 2,000 step process. I know it does not work this 2,000 ways. Do you have more information than that? Think about it. Perseverance. They were absolute. Next one. They were absolute faith in themselves. Think about it. They have absolute faith in themselves. If you read the Bible by mistake, how many have read the Bible? 1, 2. The New Testament. The lady goes to Jesus and says, please heal me. She's sick. Christ said, I cannot heal you. He said, I heard you are a miracle worker. Why can't you heal me? He said, no. You heard it wrong. It's your faith that will make you whole, not me. So you got to have absolute faith, because if you look at it, when you want to succeed, there are people who are close to you who want to tell you it cannot be done. Because people always judge you by their own standard, and which are generally mediocre. So when you want to become successful, learn to associate with successful people and not mediocre people. Because they will bring you down. They will pass. They will. You cannot do it. Doesn't work. They will keep telling you. There's a story going on the internet. There was a frog can only climb this high. So there was a 30-story building or something. And all the frogs started climbing that. And there are journalists with the microphones and the megaphones saying, you cannot do it, you cannot do it. Lots of them started falling by the wayside for second floor, third floor. One guy kept on going. He made it all the way to 30th floor. So they went to interview him. How did you succeed? They found out he was dead. So all these negative things people were telling you cannot do it, he didn't listen. Because there are people who tell you you cannot do it. You've got to have positive attitude if you want to succeed. Starting tomorrow, when you wake up in the morning, look in the mirror and say 10 times with belief, faith and confidence and conviction, I'm one of the greatest salesmen in the world. Say it loudly 10 times to yourself. I said, okay. I collected my fees and left. 3 months later, I went back for a follow-up. I lined them all up. 9 out of 10 were doing great. Go to the 10th guy. He showed me sales chart. Sales. Status quo. No difference. I said, John, what happened? You ask a question like that to an American, nobody. No. So I'm not saying those things 10 times every morning. I said, why not, John? He said, to tell you the truth, which I couldn't lie to myself 10 times every morning. I said, John, tell me this. In the selling, do you ever lie? I said, you know how it is in business. We all lie. I said, you got nothing against lying then, right? He said, you're right. I said, then some of those lies backfired? You bet they're backfired. I said, John, I tell you this. This ain't going to backfire. Would you say it anyway? Consider it a lie, say it anyway. I said, oh, if you put it that bluntly, I ain't got no objection. 3 months later, another follow-up. I line them all up. 9 guys doing fine. I go to the 10th guy, shows me sales chart. He's saying a double. I said, John, this is fantastic, man. How did you do it? He looks at me and says, oh, I'm the one of the greatest salesmen in the world. So, positive. As I say, I give you example from different, I give you Cassius, I give you salesman. One of the greatest actors who won Academy Award for playing Gandhi. Who was that? Ben Kingsley. If you read his biographical article, he said he was standing in front of a mirror because of makeup time and suddenly saw he was doing something great, he was going to succeed in doing something great. He psyched himself out and talking to himself in front of a mirror. So that is that part you got to work on. Talk to yourself positive. Because I tell you, we are brought up on negative things. According to research, parents, by the time you are some 18 years old, they tell you 148,000 times something that is wrong with you. If you are lucky, it is 50,000. You won't be able to do this, neighbor's son is better, you are stupid, that guy is smarter than you are, you are not going to do anything in this world, and they tell you all this. Hardly they tell you are great. How many parents have told you are great? Raise your hand. 1, 2. Look at the statistics. There is a statistics. Out of 100 odd people, 5 people raise their hand. So which means that you've been programmed to think negative. So you've got to start changing this. If nobody tells you positive, start telling yourself. Talk to yourself. And watch out what you tell yourself. Particularly when you are in emotional state, people tend to say negative things to themselves. And that's when they affect the most. So be careful when you are in a depression, when you are not feeling good, what you talk to yourself. As Professor Chandrasab said, that too will pass. Remember that. So you got a vision, perseverance, positive attitude, passion, then complete awareness. You should have the humility to learn from everything that's going on. That's very important. You cannot be egotistical, now I know everything. Because you cannot. You can learn something from everybody at all times. Give you talk about humility, I give you an example. One guy went to Michelangelo. He says, you are a great sculptor and you are a fantastic artist and I want to see how you make a beautiful statue out of marble. The guy said, listen, I don't make any beautiful statue out of a marble. Statue is already there in the marble. My job is to chip away the unnecessary pieces out of that marble. So beautiful statue will surface. I don't have any. Think. So you should have that humility. Give another example. Swami Vivekananda, I just mentioned. He was one of the greatest saintly person this country ever produced. And he was the one who gave one of the greatest addresses in America in Chicago in 1890. You know, that time. 1890s when he went there. Brothers and Sisters of America. It was one of the most quoted speeches. Came to India and he was traveling all over India. And he went to a place in Rajasthan. And the host decided that such a great saint has come, we should do something to entertain him. Now you cannot have a cocktail party for a saint, you know. Let's have a, who's it up, man? The saint is here. You can't have it. So what do you have? So we have a religious songs program. So these village people started looking somebody who can sing religious songs, or what we call in Hindi bhajans. They didn't find anybody. But there was one prostitute who was a good singer. So they went to her and said, listen, you come and sing tonight, but Munni Begum banega. Munni Badname, you have to sing something which is religious. She said, would I get paid? He said, you get paid. It's okay, I'll come. So she came to sing. And the organizers went to Swami Vivekananda and said, we would like you to grace the occasion. We have called this person to sing for you, religious song. So Vivekananda inquired, who is the singer? Now you cannot lie to Swami. You got to tell the truth. He said, well, we couldn't find any decent singer, so we found this prostitute. So Vivekananda says, okay, I'll sit in my room and listen to her. That's fair enough. They went to the lady and she said, please start your program. She said, where is the guest of honor for whom I'm supposed to sing? So they told her that he is sitting in his room and listening to you. She got the message. So the first song she sang, first religious song, Prabhu mere avaguna chittana dho. Ek loha puja mein rakhat, ek garbhadika paro, paras koi bhed na jane, kanchana kamat karo. That please, God, please overlook my faults. There's a mythical stone known as Paras, and if you put iron in front of it, it makes gold out of it. It does not distinguish that one piece of iron came from a slaughterhouse where it is used for, halaling the animals or killing the animals, and second one came from a temple. It does not differentiate. So her thing was, why are you differentiating? Swamiji heard that song. He realized that God is telling me that you call yourself a saint, and you have this ego left, that you think that she's a fallen woman, therefore you wouldn't listen to her. You did not go there. He came out of his room, he went to her, touched her feet and said, I learned something from you. So you should have that awareness. You should never be that cocksure of yourself and overconfident. You should not have what is known in Greek, hubris. H-U-B-R-I-S, remember that word? The entire, prime, subprime crashes that happened is because of greed and hubris. People became overconfident, they will achieve this and that, and they screwed up the entire economy of the world. So the point is, you should be always humble enough to receive. It's very, very good. So you should have vision, perseverance, discipline to do this, then time. You should always be asking yourself, whatever I am doing, is it taking me closer to what I want to achieve? Or is it useless? Like when Abdul Kalam Sahab became the president of India, all the journalists went with their usual questions. They put mics in front of me and said, what TV program you like? President Abdul Kalam Sahab looked at them and he said, I do not own a television. I teach time management courses to corporate world. And I asked them, why don't you follow something from of it? Why don't you follow your dream or become what you want to become? They said, no, we don't have time. Those are the people who attend my time management courses. So, you familiar with distribution curve? So about 80% of the people mainstream are about here, 10% here, 10% here. Who are these 10%? The dropouts from the society, the alcoholics, the drug addicts, the crazy people, which sociologists will call them on the periphery of the society, on the fringes of society. Other side is politicians, scoundrels, musicians, painters, people like me, the other 10%. These 20% will never attend time management course. Alcoholic never attend time management. होश में आए तो बतलाए तेरा दीवाना दिन कहाँ गुजरा रात If I come out my drunken stupor, then I can differentiate when the day passes and the night passes. All a blur. So for them, time management is never a problem. So these 20% are always, these 80% are always complaining about not having time. I don't want you to fall into that 80%. Because let me tell you this. These 80% of the people who always complain they do not have time, they spend their entire spare time reading or talking about these 10% or these 10%. Think of it. Because all the glossies, newspapers, television channels are full of news about these 20%, this 80% is the viewership and readership. Would you agree?
Yes.
True or not? Give an example in our country. Cricket is a passion, you know. If you ask me, it should be banned in this country. And I have nothing against cricket, please understand that. I have nothing against cricket. What I am saying, it's a criminal waste of time. The entire country stops for days on end. They watch it, they watch the real game, they watch the TV, they watch different channels, then they watch the replay, then they read about it in newspaper, and they talk about it for years on end. If they spend that much time learning how to play cricket, we will have more. Just think about it. So we waste a lot of time. And then we complain we have no time. So ask yourself, are you using your time wisely? Are you using your time in a way that brings you closer to your goal? It's a crucial question. Because let me tell you, you have fantastic potential. Just give you an example of what I mean by fantastic potential. When I went to America in 1964, I met a friend. His name was, or the friend's name was, General Sherman. It's the name of a tree in Sequoia National Park. This tree, ladies and gentlemen, is 276 feet, 8 inches tall. Taller than a 25-story building. It will require 17 men to hold their hand to encircle this one single tree. One of its branches is 145 feet in the air and is 7 feet in diameter. This tree has enough wood to build 300 5-bedroom bungalows. It will require 3 goods trains to haul away all the lumber and foliage from this one single tree. This tree is estimated to be 3,000 years old. And it grew from a seed which weighed 3/1000th of an ounce. A seed so small, if you kept it in your palm, you might miss it. Do you think our Maker gave more potential to a tree than to us? See, whether you come from Judeo-Christian tradition of religion, that is Judaism, Christianity, Islam, or whether you come from Hindu, Buddhist, Jain tradition, in both major traditions there is one thing that's common. If you are in Judeo-Christian tradition, you are created in the image of God. In Hindu-Buddhist tradition, you have the potential to become Buddha yourself, or you have the potential to become one with the Almighty. In both cases, it is positive. So, the question is, are you exploiting that potential? And that's a question you need to ask yourself. As you are here in this conference exploring different things, I want you to explore yourself. Because you have certain strengths, you have certain weaknesses. People are generally wasting a lot of time making their weakness into strength. Don't do it. Strengthen your strength. People will tell you to get rid of this weakness. You cannot be perfect. Please understand this. So work on your strength, make them stronger. There are other people who take care of weakness. If you are not good at one particular, hire somebody who can do it better than you. Because you cannot be good at everything. Instead of that, work on your strength, realize your full potential. And as a parting gift, I just want to share one story from the sacred text of Upanishad. There was a village. In this village, every Sunday evening, a wise old man came and sat underneath an ancient tree, and all the farmers in this village came to him and asked him questions. And the wise old man answered their questions, and the farmers felt gratified. There was one farmer in this village who did not like this wise old man. And he was always thinking of ways to showing other people that this guy is a fraud. One day, as that farmer was coming home, he thought of an idea. He said, this Sunday, I'll go with a live little bird in my fist, and in front of everybody, I'll ask that wise man, what's in my hand? A bird, he will say. And I'll ask him, is it alive or dead? And if he says it's alive, I'll kill the bird before I open my fist. If he says dead, I'll open my fist and let the bird fly away. In either case, you'll be wrong. People will know he's a fraud. Ladies and gentlemen, imagine a beautiful Sunday evening. Godhuli time. agree. These farmers are gathering around this wise old man who is sitting underneath an ancient tree with his grey beard blowing in the wind. And all the farmers asking questions, the wise man answers them one by one and they feel gratified. And comes this farmer with a live little bird in his hand. He walks up to the old man and says, "Tell me, wise man, what's in mine?" "A bird," said the wise man. "Tell me, wise man, is it alive or dead?" The wise man looks at the farmer and says, "Whatever you will it to be." Ladies and gentlemen, same applies to your life. It is whatever you will it to be. That's it.